What is up, guys? I wanted to take a minute out before we start the show to talk directly to you guys about some of the changes that I've made and explain why I decided to consolidate everything under one umbrella. The main reason was that for a very long time now, my content has been kind of scattered all over the place. At one point, I was running about 8 different social media channels, 3 different websites, a YouTube channel, Spotify pages, all kinds of stuff on there. And I was spreading myself way too thin. I can't even tell you how many times I logged on to post something and realized that I had not posted anything from the previous episodes, or, I hadn't posted any new content in, 3 weeks or something. And it wasn't because there wasn't content being made. It was because I literally couldn't keep track of what pages I posted on and what pages I hadn't. So numero uno on the list of why we made this was to try to make it a little bit easier for me to maintain and keep track of. And the other reason was to provide you guys with more content and better content. And so at the end of the day, this consolidation is about sustainability for me and about better access and focus for you. Bringing everything together, I can put all of my energy into creating content and posting it regularly and not just managing logistics like I have been doing. During the downtime in the last month between episodes with the run out, I created the Lax Lifers Club to be the definitive central hub for this community that I am attempting to build out. And it is where everything kind of converges. All of my social media, my content, the run out, all of those things kind of meet all at the Lax Lifers Club. And this isn't just a structural change. It will be an upgrade to the entire experience. You will still get the content that you have always gotten, hopefully even a little bit more of it. But in addition to that, you will also gain early access to new content, new types of content that I wasn't able to make before. There is merch available now. And most importantly, you will get a community of people that love the medicine game as much as you do. This network is designed to be shaped by you. Your participation in the Lax Lifers Club and on the Discord is what will dictate where we go and what we do and the kind of things that we create here. And to that point, the core community and a good majority of the content will and always will be free. They will be accessible through the free membership tier in the Lax Lifers Club. But for those who want to level up their experience and help fuel this project, we have structured some paid tiers as well in the club. Again, the free tier will get you like 95% of everything else, but the paid tiers will get you better access. There will be specific channels to get direct access to the run out to help us shape and develop this show into what we want it to be. You will get exclusive content and merch. I have watch alongs and hangouts and stuff planned. But I really want to be crystal clear on this. This is not some kind of like get rich thing. If I was trying to make $1 million, I wouldn't be doing this about lacrosse. There's not a lot of money in it for me. The money is simply to help us make this community better, to make better content. A big goal of mine is to get someone who could maybe help edit the run out, maybe edit some other content, maybe even help run some of the social media channels so that we can provide better and more content for you guys. And other than that, it will also go into things like merch and stuff. Additionally, I have not instituted this yet, but I would like to expand into an element of charitable donation. I would love, I haven't exactly figured out what that looks like. I don't know if there's just going to be one kind of charity that we work with, or if I do monthly charities, or whatever. We can figure that out together, maybe, hopefully. But the money being generated through the tiers will go right back into the community and producing higher quality content and experiences that you and I are discussing and building and creating. Your support directly translates into a better and stronger community for all of us. All of that being said, I do have a few notes, just kind of some general things that you guys should know. First, I am going to stop using the run out social medias. I am not deleting them or getting rid of them. I just am going to stop using them for at least the time being. Like I said, if we get to a point where we can hire someone that helps with social media, maybe we can bring that stuff back. But in the meantime, all of the runouts content will be found on the I Am Neil Barrett pages on all platforms. Make sure that you are following me to keep up with what we have going on, specifically surrounding the runout. Additionally, you have probably already noticed that this episode came out on Friday and not on Wednesday. That will be the new public release date for episodes of the runout moving forward. However, if you sign up for one of the paid tiers, you will get the episodes 48 hours early on Wednesdays on the regularly scheduled program time that we are all used to. You will have access to that through the Fourth Wall site and your paid membership. But if you are one of the general public or one of the people who has a free membership, the new release date for episodes of the runout will be Fridays. I have also created a Fourth Wall that is kind of going to be the main hub, the branching point for all things that I am creating, whether it be YouTube videos or TikToks or the runout or anything like that, the Lax Lifers Club, all of that stuff. You can find it through the Fourth Wall. There will be posts on there weekly, kind of explaining what's going on. And then the Discord server that we created for the Lax Lifers Club will be the critical source for real-time updates and conversation surrounding projects, and of course, what's going on in the sport, and also how you can get involved with what we are building. So you are going to want to keep an eye on both that Fourth Wall and the Discord server once you get signed up. All of this should make it easier for you to find and engage with my content. It should make it a lot easier for me to deliver it to you guys, but it's more than just about efficiency. This has always been about something deeper. If you are listening to this, I know that you know the feeling that you get when you talk about lacrosse with someone who also gets it. This community is built on that shared lifelong passion for the game, its culture, and the lifestyle that comes with it. So if you love lacrosse and are looking for your people, I know you will love what we're building here. That's it. I will leave it there and we will get to the show. Welcome to the run out. It's been a very long time since I had to say that. But just like us, the NLL is officially back. There is an arms race out west. The Rock's Rookie Revolution officially begins now. And are we sleeping on the 3-time defending champions just a little bit? Maybe?
No.
Brandon isn't. But before we get into that, it's been a month since we talked to Dawson.
Wow,
The
that was the
week of
last
October.
episode? That feels like forever ago.
Yeah, it feels like forever ago and like yesterday at the same time.
Well, I did talk to him yesterday, so it really was yesterday in a sense.
That's true. It's so funny that like when he came on the show, we had never really talked to him at all, and now I feel like we probably individually, you talk to him all the time. I talk to him all the time. Like, it's just so funny that like we're so in each other's lives all of a sudden. But before we get into all of that, it's like I said, it's been a month. What you been up to? Shooting stuff, I'm guessing.
Yeah, you could say that just a little bit. Shot my first wedding on Saturday, so that was pretty fun.
Yeah, fun. That I've
It's,
never heard that in
I mean,
reference to shooting a wedding before.
that's the kind of the joke in the photography community, but like, it's just it was a different thing to do, which is why it was
Yeah.
fun. Very long day. There was definitely a lot of things that I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just winging it, and hopefully it works out. And it did work out. So but yeah, still doing football a ton. I unfortunately missed the Air Force Army game for it, so that sucked. But gotta make sacrifices. It is what it is.
Wait, I don't even. Did Air Force win?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, yeah, I know. I might have to stop going because they win.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean,
that's right.
I've been to, I think, 4 games this year, maybe 5, and they've won 2 of them. So I'm like, I don't know, but they got it done. That's all that matters.
I don't have my Air Force shirt. I was looking to see if my Air Force shirt was on, but it's not on. So, I don't know why I'm even telling you this, but that just reminded me that my best friend from the Air Force just put in his retirement paperwork, and that makes me feel so old to be like,
nice.
oh, I could be retiring from the Air Force in another year or so. Yeah, my wife and I went to Montreal. That was different. It was so much fun, and the food was amazing, but I got yelled at by the border lady, when doing the passports, because I didn't stop at the stop sign correctly, apparently, and she yelled at me in a French accent, and it was interesting.
That's funny.
Yeah. So yeah, no, just living it up, I guess. But that is like enough real world talk. Let's get on the floor and talk some NLL. You have been doing this podcast for coming up on a year now, and we've barely talked about the NLL. So I know you've been waiting since the last, like we said, the last episode was Dawson, talking about the NLL deal that was coming, and then I think I looked at it, that episode we recorded on October 7th, and at that point everything was like, okay, it's gonna get done. They're right there. It's gonna get done. It was another 2 weeks before that thing was signed, and it was like, just every day it was like, oh, it's going to be done tomorrow. It's going to be done tomorrow. And then it just didn't. Tomorrow would come and go, and it wouldn't get signed. So was there any thought you thought maybe it wasn't going to happen? I know you had some connections, but
no, I knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of like, everyone thinks it's like the big things that you kind of disagree on, but once you get that, like, you get down to the fine details, you realize that there's a lot more to actually hash out. Which I think that's what it was like, I think it was also getting misconstrued between, hey, it's going to be done, we're just finalizing these things, and, oh, it's going to be signed. Like, I think there were some people out there that were kind of making it sound like, oh, it's going to be in writing tomorrow. What I was told was that they basically mutually agree that, like, it's going to get done. They just need to finalize those final details. And then I know they took a weekend off, a week or 2 after we had that episode, just to kind of take a break. I think they're all kind of just honestly exhausted, going back and forth every single day. So yeah, there was no doubt in my mind. It just, it takes time. And, when you get down to, like, there's a lot in that CBA. If you read through it, like, there's a ton of stuff they had to deal with.
I heard it was going to be signed on Thursday, but I'm not, I don't think we should be speculating about that. So
who knows? Maybe it's not signed. Maybe they still have to sign it next week.
Maybe. Anyway, let's move on to now. It was signed. It was signed.
That was a joke for everyone listening. I know people take us too seriously, literally sometimes. That was a joke.
So seriously. It was signed.
Yes.
The NLL is back.
Yes.
Training camp officially started this weekend. I think the place that we have to start, obviously, from that being signed on the 21st to basically immediately opening free agency and everyone getting all their deals finalized and everything and announced over a span of about 10 days before training camp started, I guess officially on Saturday. Most guys like flew in Friday night and they kind of started Saturday, but I think the big story has got to be Vancouver, yeah?
They're one of them. I think they're not as big as some other teams just because every move they made, we kind of expected, more or less.
It's fair.
But as far as the names that went there, yes, that they're a very big story.
Yeah. I think, I think that's a good way of putting it, is that, yeah, we kind of expected a lot of those, although, you know, until they're made official, you can never really, you know, you never know. So, but obviously they signed Curtis Dixon, Jesse King,
Reese Callies, Shane Simpson. They're basically the Vancouver Roughnecks. I know Jake Elliott said to stop with those jokes, and it's tired and played out, but that's what they are. I mean, every Roughneck goes to Vancouver.
Well, then they also re-signed Keegan Ball. Not that we expected him to go anywhere. Adam Sharambedes, Matt Beers, several other of their like kind of big name guys that were already there.
Yeah.
On paper, they are up there for sure.
They should be at the top.
You think the top?
I have them at the top at this very date. Obviously, that could change, but
yeah, of course.
They didn't lose anybody, and they only got better.
Yeah,
you know, I think Buffalo is still right up there as well because they are the 3-time defending champions. And they kept most of their core, and not that like losing Chase Frazier and Cloutier is like the end of the world, but I do think it raises questions to where now you're having young guys have to step up. And you know, obviously having the GOAT in net behind you helps a ton, and he's going to steal some games for them. But like, I don't think CDB is that far off from Matt Vince as far as game to game. And I think when you add in, you know, Hall of Famers, you know, like Curtis Dixon to Keegan Ball and Ryan Martell, Sharambedes, you know, Jesse King, like, I don't see why they can't be at the top right
now. I think there's an argument that CDB is better, not because of where Matt Vince is, but because of where Christian Del Bianco is.
Yeah.
My question for you, and I guess the reason that I wanted to start with Vancouver is, well, it's kind of a two-parter, but it kind of depends on how you answer the first one. Is it championship or bust for Vancouver? This was a team that did not make the playoffs last year.
To an extent, but not fully. The reason I say that is I believe this will be Curtis Dixon's last year. Now, that has not been like told to me. I don't have any insider information on that. I just have heard that it wouldn't be shocking if it was his last. So from that perspective, like getting him another championship, yes, this is boomer bust. Like, you need that. That said, like, their core is going to be intact for years. You know, if Del Bianco's there for another decade, they're contenders as far as I'm concerned. And then on top of that, you still have, I mean, Keegan Ball, in my opinion, is probably one of the more underrated guys, like underrated superstars in the league. Like, everyone knows he's good, but like, the dude is like one of the best consistently. You add Jesse King to that. You already have the guys that they had, you know, Martell, Sharambedes, we said that Reed Bowering re-signed. You know, they have a great defense. Like, so from that perspective, no, like they can lose this year and it'd be fine. But if they want Superman to get another ring, like, you got to go for it all, which it seems like they are.
I'm going to ignore the Curtis Dixon may retire at the end of the season because it does, I think, influence it a little bit. But my thought is, I know they've made a lot of moves, and obviously they want to win the championship. That's clearly, you know, the goal for all of the teams in the NLL. They want to win the championship. That is the goal. But I just look at a team that, yes, they made a great run after they got CDB last year and nearly got into the playoffs. But I just am like, you didn't win.
Wait, they did get in the playoffs.
They did?
Yeah, they did. They lost to Buffalo.
I thought they missed. If I'm stupid, I'm stupid. Like
I'm almost certain
I thought they missed.
Maybe I look stupid now.
One of us is gonna be stupid in about 3 seconds. If I'm the stupid one, then it's gonna really shoot the entire speech I just had prepared.
Yeah, they were the 4 seed. Yeah, they lost to Buffalo. They lost to Buffalo in the semifinal 2-0 because they beat Rochester in the opening round to go on to second. Okay, yeah. I was like, wait a minute. They definitely were in the dance.
So wait. You're telling me not only did they make the playoffs, they won the first round?
Oh, yeah. They beat Rochester 15-10.
Oh, Jesus.
Because if you remember, Buffalo beat San Diego 5-4 in the quarterfinal. And then went on to sweep Vancouver in 3.
All right, everything I just said, throw it out the window. It's championship or bust. They got to win it all, or this was a waste. Such an idiot. All right.
The other part of that too, I will say, is the reason it's also not a bust for them if they don't win is there are several other teams that I think are at the very same level as them and will be for a while. So, like, again, Buffalo's still the standard. Like, I know I put Vancouver above them for now, but at the same time, for argument's sake, they're dead even. Like, if Buffalo wins, no one's going to be like, "Oh, Vancouver squabbled an opportunity." Like, no, it's Buffalo. San Diego was up there as well, I think. Saskatchewan.
Yeah. Well, when I say championship or bust, I think there can be several teams that do that. But for me, it's more about, like, you put all of your eggs in the basket of this season. When I say championship or bust, that's what I mean. I hear what you're saying about Curtis Dixon, and I wouldn't be surprised if, again, maybe I'm stupid here. He's a Vancouver guy, right? Or generally speaking. I wouldn't be surprised if being, generally speaking, home and getting to play half the season from home doesn't maybe make him go, hey, I could do this again next year, and he does 2 years before he's out. But
I hope he does.
So maybe
his game can go a long time. I think even as his age rises, I think his game fits fine in any system where he can just kind of, again, like you're saying, if you're playing half the season at home, like, it's still box lacrosse, but, like, you're not traveling to Calgary. And granted, I don't know how long that travel was for him, but, like, and a lot of Vancouver's guys are like that now. So, like, that's the other part of this is, like, yeah, their young core stays intact, but, like, even their older aging guys, like, they could still be there for, 8 to 10 years just by living at home.
Yeah. No. So maybe that's the thing. And I find it interesting that you have, we'll get back to Buffalo in a little bit, but I find it interesting that again, right here, right now, you have them above it. But before we get to Buffalo, we'll get to them in a little bit. Let's move on to a little bit more of the Western Conference. First things first, let's start with your Mammoth. They made a couple of big moves, trading Connor Kelly to the Swarm for Andrew Q and draft picks. What were the draft picks involved? It was like a 3rd rounder, 4th?
It was a 2nd rounder and something else, but the 2nd rounder can turn into a 3rd rounder if Connor Kelly doesn't play. Of course, their Twitter doesn't pop it up when I go on there, so that's sick. But regardless, a couple of draft picks and Andrew Q for I believe it's next year's first and Connor Kelly, which there's some people out there that are. I saw someone on Facebook yesterday say that the Mammoth are trading away fan favorites for nobodies. If you don't know who Andrew Q is, dog,
Yeah,
if he's a nobody, bro, then like 90% of the league is nobodies. Like,
yeah.
Andrew Q is the clutchest player in the National Lacrosse League. Even if you want to make an argument, he's top 5. I don't really care. Like, he's one of the clutchest guys in the league. He's constantly winning games for Georgia. This was a W trade, okay? If you read the press release, it sure sounds like Connor Kelly's playing career in the NLL over the next 2 seasons is kind of in doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not me saying he's not going to play. But if you read through the release, it definitely sounds like, I mean, you don't put in a clause of, hey, the second rounder could turn into a third rounder if he doesn't play, if there's not a doubt that he's going to play. So that's one thing. Second thing is, the NLL is very different from other leagues where a lot of times guys get traded to where they live or closer to where they live so they can make it happen. Connor Kelly lives in Florida. So the flight from there to Georgia is much better for him than from there to Colorado. On the other side, Andrew Q lives in Vancouver. So going cross 2 countries for him every week is not really ideal. So that's the other part of this. It makes sense for both guys logistically. If Connor Kelly plays, that's a great deal for Georgia. If he doesn't, they still get some picks back. And Andrew Q's a mammoth. So I don't know why people are upset about it. It's a great trade. Obviously, it's blockbuster. I'll miss CK, but it had to happen.
Then Colorado got their first round draft pick back when they traded Connor Robinson to San Diego. I know you, at least in the moment, have you settled? I know in the moment you were not super ecstatic with that one, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I was more so just I wasn't happy with what can come of it later on in my head because we all knew that a lefty was getting traded. That was reported like semi-reported a month and a half ago. Because we had 7, I think, lefties after the Q trade. And like that just, you can't, that's too unbalanced. You can't have that. And so it was kind of put out there like, hey, they're probably going to move one. Did I think it was going to be Connor Robinson? Absolutely not. That was shocking. The other part of this, though, was that like him and Eli McLaughlin are like very close friends. So, and Eli McLaughlin, I believe, is a free agent next year. He's a firefighter in Vancouver. Assuming Curtis Dixon retires, that opens up a lefty spot. So, from my perspective, as a fan perspective, trading his best friend a year before he's in a contract year, when he's going to have an opportunity to play for a powerhouse of the league at home, is not a good idea. Because all it does is then basically say, well, if I'm Eli McLaughlin, I don't have to travel anymore. My best friend's not there. I'll just go play at home for a contender. So that's the reason I don't like this trade. Again, we needed to trade a lefty, so like that is what it is. Still surprising that it was him, but I think there's a lot of layers to this that like makes this sketchy for me. But if another trade that's allegedly in the works happens, then I will be much more happy with the moves that have been made.
I love that we both know what you're talking about, but we can't really talk about it.
Oh, we can say it's out there. Jack Hanna is going to be in Colorado one way or another this year. It's just a matter of how it gets done. Unfortunately, you know, there was a multi-team deal that semi fell through. Again, due to where one of the guys lives, and does outside work. That's very noble work, but it's more important than lacrosse. So until that gets figured out, he's kind of just stuck in no man's land. And to my knowledge, he was not at training camp either. But he'll be here. Like, and at that point, everyone that's talked trash about the trades and the moves and saying, oh, we're so stupid, we're trading fan favorites and did all this stuff, they'll have nothing to say. Because at that point, we'll have Brian Lee, Jack Hanna, Andrew Q, Eli McLaughlin, Will Malcolm. Like, we're back to being a great offense. So that's all I gotta say. It's in the works, though. It's coming.
I'm not saying that it isn't going to happen, but oh my God, if it doesn't happen for one reason or another.
If it doesn't happen at this point, he's going to have to hold out. Like, I don't see how you can not show up to training camp and then make it pretty clear that you want to go home. Like, it is home for him. That's the other thing about this too. Is like Jack Hanna lives in Denver. He owns a business here. He went to college here. Like, it's not like he's just like trying to force his way out. Like, he, it makes more logistical sense for him.
Mhm.
It would be pretty awkward if you showed back up to Vegas and you're just like, hey, I'm back after, all this. But I think that'll end up happening at some point.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, if with him not being in camp, it feels like we're just trying to figure it out, and we couldn't get an LLCBA signed. It'll be the same sort of thing with Jack Hanna probably.
Well, and a guy like him, you're not going to give him away for free.
Yeah.
So Vegas is going to have to do what they can to get a good deal on their end, which I fully understand. Like, they can't just take back a couple of second or third round picks for Jack Hanna.
Yeah.
But also, while there's a lull, I would like to give a shout out to Zed Williams, who, according to head coach Pat Coyle, said he gave the front office a heads up that he was going back to Rochester. I say back just because it's his home nation, which allowed us to trade him for something, which is also another reason that, like, when I see people complaining about trading a fan favorite, like, Zed was leaving no matter what. And the fact that he told us, hey, this is what's happening, like, you should trade me, is awesome. Of him, but awesome he gets to go home as well. So just for any Mammoth fans listening, like, let's keep everything I've said, like, keep the context in mind. It's not like we're just trading away random players just to do it. Like, everyone loves Zed, but
you know what was really funny to me? I saw someone tweet that Zed Williams looks at home or something, or like it feels right. I don't remember. They posted something that made it sound like, oh, he looks. I don't know what I'm saying. Never mind. I'll move off of that. But I just remember seeing it and being like, he's never worn green. Like, I don't know. It didn't make sense. But
he looks better in burgundy and black. But it's neither here nor there.
Let's move on to the other team that was involved in the Connor Robinson trade and talk a little bit about San Diego. Like you said, they're the team, one of the teams that you have very high up there. For the field people, we can say, they signed both the Kavanaugh brothers. They also re-signed Zach Courier, which for some reason, when I was watching their training camp and I saw Zach Courier, I was like, I don't know why I thought he was that whole thing where, like, him and was it Dane Doby, where they like were traded for each other and then they were like traded back like the year or whatever it was. I was like, I don't. I saw him in that uniform and I was just like, wait, what? They re-signed Corey Small, Trent Dicchio, Ari Steenhouse, most of their guys. Obviously, they got Connor Robinson, Marquez White, James Barkley, all brought in. Yeah, I guess I don't know that I even really had a question. I just feel like they're another one of those teams that's like at the top of the pile, at least, coming into the season. We'll see what happens, but they're one of the teams that you got to feel like, probably has championship or bust kind of pinned on them.
The hard part about them is they've had that ambition since they came into existence, quite frankly.
That's true.
I mean, you look at the guys that they've had and it's just like, they haven't put it together. Chris Riglieri this year, there's questions on if he'll miss time because he's in firefighter training, I want to say. I don't think he's in the same situation as Eli McLaughlin. I could be totally wrong. If someone has more information, please feel free to correct. But he wasn't at training camp this weekend, so that's something to monitor. But like, you just look at the names that they've had over the years. At one point you have Austin Stotts, Westberg obviously still on the team, and then you go down to like last year and you have Ben McIntosh, I believe it's Ben McIntosh, right? Or maybe it's Garrett, one of the two McIntoshes. Rob Hellier as well, and then you trade him away. So like, they needed a lefty, which is why getting Connor Robinson makes sense. You add Corey Small as well, which is a good addition, but like, the rest of this team's kind of, at least for me, a question mark. We'll see what the Cavs bring. We'll see what a guy like Aiden Carroll, if he cracks the roster, brings for the field fans. Otherwise, like Trent Chico, they still have him. Jake Govett, still have him. But it's just like, it's hard because I feel like they've had better rosters in the past. But this team should still be very good. And we'll especially if Irregularity is able to play, like they're still a team that's going to contend.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and we've already proven that I don't know what I'm talking about over here. But they've never made an NLL championship.
No.
Right?
No.
Which, like you said, to what you were saying, they've had better teams, and I agree, but something about this one feels different. Like maybe better in terms of construction, if that makes any sense.
It's possible. It's possible. I just think they're a little bit young to be on the championship or bust train just yet. I mean, you got to think, like, even Irregularity, I know he's been in the league for a couple of years. I want to say he's only like 22 or 23 or something like that. Like he's very, very young. And their whole offense essentially is, first or second year players with the exception of a couple guys. So again, we'll see who ends up making it out of camp. But they're defensively, I think they're really good. Obviously, they lost Kyle Rubish to Oshawa, which sucks, but he was 37, and maybe it's time to move on. Yeah. Meanwhile, you still have Danny Logan, and you still have Zach Currier, who, I mean, we could see Currier end up playing offense. Like we saw a lot of that last year as well. So we'll see how they manage that. But I have enough questions that make me feel like it's not quite championship or bust for them.
Okay, so you have them kind of below. So you got Buffalo and
Vancouver.
That's the.
There's one other team that I think is they're creeping, but I can't quite put them at that top. But I do have them above San Diego.
Is it the Rush?
No, it is Rochester.
Oh, okay, yeah. No. That makes.
I'm just hesitant right now to put them super high because I feel like there's goaltending questions, mainly with their health. If they can just stay healthy, they're going to be very good. Their offense is great, defense is great, but I just have some questions. Not as many as San Diego though. But that's a whole other discussion.
Let's move on from the potential San Diego youth movement to the bona fide youth movement in Toronto. CJ Kirst, Owen Hiltz took the floor for the first time this year. I'm assuming Sam English was on the floor as well. I did not actually see him, but I'm assuming he was there.
Yeah, I saw him in a couple of little videos that their social team did, so he was there.
What is a realistic goal for that Toronto team, given all the talent that they have? But obviously, a lot of it is very young, very inexperienced. They do get Nick Rose back, which is huge. They're without Tom Schreiber, though. Like, they're such an awkward team to even try to pick, because in a lot of ways they've gotten a lot better, but in a lot of ways maybe they've kind of taken a step back. So what are you thinking for them?
See, I think it's kind of the opposite. I think they only took a step forward. I think that the goal this year just needs to be just to get back in the playoffs. Like, even if that's the 8th seed, like that's fine. Be the 8th seed and get blown out with first seed. I don't even care what happens. Like, just get in the dance. Because I think you look at their roster and like, obviously they lost Schreiber for the time being, and they lost Corey Small and whatnot. But like, they brought back Chris Bushi, Dan Craig, Josh Dahlberg, who had a career year last year. Mark Matthews is still kicking. Like, I think a lot of what happened last year was just health, which is unfortunately, I think, still kind of plaguing them. I know TD, I think, was put on the PUP list this week, or I hope he's off of it soon. But I mean, they still got, Challen Rogers and, Latrell Harris. Like, they still have a ton of guys. And then you bring back Nick Rose. Like, as much as I liked Troy Holochuk's play last year after Nick Rose left, like, it's Nick Rose. And you bring him back and you're going to win more games than without him. So I think their goal just needs to be to get back to the playoffs, and I don't think that that's unrealistic for them either. Do I think they're a top 4 team? Probably not this year. I mean, you're asking CJ Kirst and Owen Hiltz to come in and be, dominant. Sam English, same thing. Like, how do they transition? Like, yes, they're box players, but this is the NLL at the same time. So I see them as kind of like the 7 or 8 seed. The problem is I have several teams that I could see as a 7 or 8 seed. So, take that with a grain of salt. But I think they'll be better than what a lot of people are projecting right now.
Yeah. Well, I remember we had this conversation. I think the episode before Dawson. I think when Dawson was here, we didn't really talk. We just talked to Dawson. So I think it was the episode before. I'm still kind of on the fence about Toronto.
That's
Vancouver's making it really freaking hard.
Horrible.
You just don't want me to be a Western team.
Pretty much. I also disagree with your takes about the uniforms just a little bit. But we can get into that later.
Oh, we're gonna get into it now.
Yeah, and one more thing while I'm thinking about it too. I just realized Toronto has Ty English come in next year, and I believe they also own Calgary's first round pick. And if Calgary's as bad as they appear they're going to be, Toronto could have a top 1, 2, 3 pick on top of getting Ty English as well.
We're gonna add Joey Spallina to this.
I mean, how many forwards do you need? But hey, if you can add them all, and they all turn out, I don't hate it.
Nah, yeah, you probably can't put Spallina, Hiltz, and CJ out there together. Oh, maybe you could.
Or could you?
Maybe you could. I think when I was saying that, my brain was thinking, so dumb. Again, idiot. I gotta turn my like lacrosse brain back on. Not even, I'm still building a box lacrosse brain. I gotta turn my lacrosse brain period back on. But as I was saying that, I was thinking, who's playing X and who's playing right and who's playing left. And then I was like, wait a minute. That's not how this works in box. So maybe you could, but you also might be right. And there might also be some other spots. And then of course we're also making the big leap that Calgary's so bad that it's the number 1 pick and not, the 3rd pick or something. So we'll see. But that is interesting to know, because I didn't know that they would have Calgary's pick this coming season. So could be interesting trade fodder too, if they're feeling like they're really close, and having that in their pocket could be really interesting. So let's move on and talk about the 3-time defending champions. I posted earlier this week. I feel like we're not talking about them enough, and in a sense overlooking them, because of a lot of they didn't make really any flashy moves. Not that they didn't make some good moves. I think they made some good moves, but they didn't make big splashy moves. And in fact, the splashy moves that involved the Bandits involved players leaving. Like you said earlier, Chase Frazier leaving is going to be a hole that they have to fill. Like, they're going to have to figure that out. A little bit less so with Chris Cloutier, but still with him as well. I just think Chase scored so many like important goals for them last year. And they're going to need someone to step into that. But all that being said, we're talking about the 3-time defending champions who, like you also said earlier, retained most of that core, brought in some very smart, like, veteran guys that are hungry and are going to come in and make some moves. And then of course, the big thing is that they got Matt Vince back. And it feels like we're all focused on like the shiny new things so much, rightfully so. Vancouver has gotten a lot better. You know, like Rochester, again, at least on paper, has gotten better. Like there are teams that have made big moves and have maybe closed the gap. But it still feels like we should probably be talking about the 3-time defending champions a little bit more than we are.
I think we talk about them an appropriate amount. Personally, I mean, they've had what 3
Hater.
years of this now, dude.
Hater.
Really, they had 5 because they went back to back, or I guess 4 years because they went back to back when they lost to Colorado. But I mean, yeah, they brought back pretty much everybody, with the exception of Chase and Kluch. You know, you add Ryan Benesh, which is going to be huge. I don't care how old that guy is. Like, I mean, the fact that they got to add him is just unfair again. You know, the Saskatchewan Rush, mind-blowingly, no disrespect to them, but mind-blowingly dumb to lose to them in the finals and then say, hey, here's Mike Triolo on a silver platter for basically not for a 3rd-round pick. Like, dog, what are we doing here? I don't understand that. Like, to me, it doesn't feel like they took that much of a hit overall. And even if they did, like, they still have the best players on the planet. I mean, Dane Smith and Josh Byrne are always going to be the best if they're playing. Matt Vince literally is the best to ever play. And then, I mean, they re-signed a lot of quality guys. Like Cam Wires coming back is huge. You know, Tahoka coming back today for 3 years is huge. Like,
today,
you know, and then I also think you have guys like Clay Scanlon, who's now going to have a really big opportunity to step in and have a big role, which is good for him. And again, you also bring back like Paul Dawson's back again, which everyone was like, he's probably going to retire. He's back. You know, Kyle Buchanan's back. Like there's just not. I think people aren't talking about them as much because there's not much to talk about. Like they go about their business. They're, in my mind, they're like the Patriots of the early 2000s, where like they go about their business. They re-sign who they need to re-sign. Anyone who leaves, cool, we'll bring up someone who no one knows, and they'll just kind of fill that role seamlessly.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I feel like even you know, Dane and Josh and Matt Vince re-signing was kind of like, oh yeah, cool, they got it, and then it was like back to the shiny objects over here.
Well, and I think part of that's just because now there feels like someone at the beginning of the season that can directly challenge them. If you think back to like,
that's fair.
I mean, since their dynasty really started, who have you looked at the beginning of the year and you said, that's a team that can beat Buffalo?
Yeah.
At least in my mind, there hasn't been a single one. There's always been teams that have been like, oh, maybe they can knock them off.
Yeah.
Maybe, hey, Colorado did it once. Maybe they can do it again. And they get blown out game 3 of the next year. Okay, well, this team added this player. Maybe they can, nope. Maybe this, nope. So it's just like now we have a bona fide, like, this team can beat them. And then, like I said earlier, Rochester's sneaking up there as well, where it's like, do they have enough to beat them? Like, it's just it's fun to think about coming into the year as a potential like dynasty ender, quote unquote.
Yeah, and you bring up a very good point that could be at least part of the reaction is just, you know, last year at this point in the season last year, we were the storyline was basically like, you know, 6 months until they're at a 3-peat, basically.
It was like who's playing for second place.
right. You know? So you are right that this is, at least in my memory, and again, idiot, that is certainly the case where it does actually feel for the first time in several years like, oh, there's someone that could actually win this.
Yeah.
So
it's also the first time in recent history that they've lost some notable players to where it's like, oh, it's like a chink in their armor. Like, oh, wait a minute, we can sign these guys? Like, you know, figuratively, of course, but it's like, wait, and not just to lose one, but to lose 2. Like, I know Kluch was in and out of the lineup last year with injuries, but like, he was a staple there along with Chase. So it's kind of like, oh, okay. Granted, they replaced them, like we said, but I think it's also just good for the league, I think, to see that like, there's a little bit more parity of like, hey, we can sign these guys. We'll pay them.
Yeah. Well, and when you're bringing in new players, you don't know how they're going to work.
Yeah.
If they keep Chase Frazier and Chris Cloutier, you have a pretty decent understanding of those guys have been in that locker room for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, whatever it is, and they know the ins and outs of this team. As good as some of the guys that they brought in, there's always a chance that it just doesn't mesh well. It doesn't quite work out, regardless of how talented that player is and how good this team is. Like sometimes it just doesn't work out. So, even though they like we have said, they at least on paper have kind of filled those gaps. You never know how that can turn out. So, a question that I didn't write down, but I was just kind of thinking of as we were talking about it. Who do you think is going to be better? This may not even be a fair question. I'm asking it on the fly. The Rush or the Desert Dogs?
Wow, that's a really good question.
Because
the Rush.
We didn't talk
it's
about
the
them.
It's the Rush.
Okay.
There's Vegas has way too many questions on the back end. The Rush, I think certain people are overrating the Rush a little bit. I know they made the finals. Yeah. They looked horrendous in that final game against Buffalo.
Yeah.
To put it nicely, I'm not trying to dog on them. They just did. But when you look at I think Vegas, again, is the shiny new thing of wow, look at this new offense and Mitch Jones added. And don't get me wrong, they're going to put up a lot of goals, but they're going to have to win a lot of high scoring games because who's playing defense in front of Kells or Getty? Do I think that their struggles have been all on the goaltending? Of course not. But am I sold on their goaltending tandem either? Not necessarily. I heard Caleb Kahn had a great training camp last weekend, but it's his first year. Are we just throwing him into the fire? Are we saying, hey, sorry, 2 guys that have been here and played, we're going to start this guy now? They just have too many questions, whereas the Rush are good on offense. They're good on defense. They have the goalie of the year last year. Jake Nace about the stripe. Everything, you look at the roster, they're so young as well. For now, it's Saskatchewan until Vegas can show that they're more than just an offensive heavy team.
That's fair. That's fair. I think part of me wonders, and I'm not saying this is the case, but part of me wonders, was last year for the Rush a little more of a fluke? I don't think anybody thought they were going to be in the championship at the end of the season at this point last year. So, there's an element of, can they repeat that? Or is that the team they are, or was that the fluke?
Yeah. Well, and I do think part of that too is they were kind of on the easier side of the bracket. I mean, you look at the opposite side, Buffalo, San Diego, Vancouver, and Rochester, whereas Saskatchewan played Georgia, Halifax, and Calgary. And I mean, no disrespect to those teams. I mean, they 2-0'd Halifax. They beat Georgia by 4. And again, I think they're set up very well for the future. But to your point, part of me feels like it was a little bit of a fluke.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like that's harsh, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not true, right? At least to some extent. The idea that they're going to be a powerhouse team again. They could be. I don't even want to guess at a record. But they.
I mean, they went 13-5 last year. Are they doing that again? And I mean, give them all the credit in the world. Especially in lacrosse, pro lacrosse, even PLL. It's not about the hottest team all year. It's about who's getting hot at the right time and riding that wave. And they absolutely did that. But like you're saying, does that continue? Did I have them winning 13 games last year? Absolutely not. And especially now that teams have film on how they're going to play, and then you also lose Mike Triolo. I also just think the rest of the league got better, and that's going to hurt them.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're talking about the shiny new objects, but it does feel like a lot of the league kind of made some moves to get better, and they haven't felt like that a whole lot.
Yeah.
They do have the secret weapon. Josh Z.
Oh my goodness. I thought I had an inkling that that's what you were going with, but I was like, no way he's doing this. Hey,
Listen,
shout out Zawada though.
when he's in black and green, you know, different
I'm telling
machine.
you, that's your team, man. That's your team right there. I'm telling you.
That based on what?
I'm based on the Duke connection. I'm gonna start tagging you when they start putting out graphics during the season. I'm gonna tag you and be like, "Look at your boys."
I don't know why you would think that I got a bigger connection to the 1 year player Josh Zawada and the Fogo Jake Naso than like, I don't know, Brennan O'Neill and Michael Sowers, who both play my position.
Who's to say those guys don't go to Saskatchewan next year?
Listen, I go to Saskatchewan next year, we might be having a different conversation.
Team. That's your team. If that happens, I'm buying you a Rush shirt or hoodie or something and sending it without telling you. It's just gonna be like, congrats, you've been initiated. This is your team now.
Well, you know, I mean, I'll take it. Whatever. You know, better than wearing a PLL hat, right?
We're gonna get your team this year. We're gonna get your team.
I have been like really anticipating like that aspect of it, is like trying to find a team and make it. And I guess that's as good of an entry point into some uniform discussion as we're gonna get, because that does play into it. I'm a designer, like it plays into it for me. It's one of the reasons why I never liked the Mammoth. I hate those jerseys.
Dude, those jerseys are sick. What are you talking about?
Nope. I hate them.
Why? Why? The mountains are awesome.
The fade is terrible.
Oh my goodness.
The little teeny tiny numbers on the back are terrible.
They're not even tiny.
They are tiny.
What are you talking about? They are not that small on the back of the jersey.
Oh. Yes.
We're gonna put up a picture right here in the clip.
I will put a look.
Those jerseys are glorious. The only tweak I would do is I would add in the old white gray one that they had when Gary Gate was playing.
Oh, come on. Wants to be super slow. This is super fun for people that are listening, by the way.
Oh, don't worry. They're probably looking it up right now. They're like, oh no, it's a good size.
No, these.
It's no different than the rest of the league.
That is very different.
What are you talking about?
Those are 10-inch front of jersey numbers. Those are small jersey.
No. Pull up another team. Pull up another team. It'll be the same.
It won't be.
I guarantee it. Pull it up.
I'm doing it. I'm pulling up another team. Oops. I hit news, not images. Look, this is literally the first one.
You could argue that the font is skinnier, but
dude,
that's the same size. That's the same size.
What are you talking about? You saw that little teeny tiny number.
It wasn't teeny tiny.
Now look at this. That is a 12. That might even be a 14.
That's the same size. That's just a thicker font.
You have lost your mind.
No,
that is not even kind of the same size. Brandon.
No, as someone that owns the jersey in person, I can assure you, it's all the same.
Do you own the Rush jersey?
I own a Colorado Mammoth stitched jersey.
Do you own the Rush jersey?
I do not, but I can tell you from seeing it in person numerous times at glass level.
It is not the same. Oh, you know what? I
can even pull up my own photos and compare the sizing.
You are not about to try and gaslight me into
I'm not gaslighting.
You are. You are.
Not at all. Not at all. It's literally just the thickness of the font. And honestly, the one that you pulled up, you pulled up the skinniest of the numbers, which is the 1 and the 7.
It is not the same size. Look at this.
It is.
Look.
It is.
Nope. Look at this.
Yes, it is. Because think about where the mountains go up.
Nope.
And where that stops. That's at the same point as everybody else. I'm looking at a Bandits one right here. I'm looking at a Rochester one right here.
You don't even have to look right here. This is, come on. This is right here. That is the Saskatchewan Rush playing the Colorado Mammoth.
It's just that the Rush have a block font.
That number is twice as big.
Look at where the Rush's green at the bottom, where it peaks. Okay, look. That's this. Look now. Look at the mountains on the Mammoth where it peaks.
That's not the point.
That's what you're arguing. You said it's teeny tiny. No. It's the same size. It's just not the same thickness.
No, it is teeny tiny because those mountains go up the back of the jersey, so they have to fit a smaller number in there.
They don't go up any more than any other team.
They do.
They don't. They don't.
That number, Brandon. You are looking at it right there.
Do I need to get my Seals jerseys out?
Well, listen.
I can bring out other teams' jerseys if we need to compare.
We can do that. That's fine. But those Seals jerseys ain't nothing to talk about anyway.
I don't have the new one. I have the old one. But we can point it out.
All right. Let's get off of this topic and let's talk about
those awful Warriors ones that you like.
No. We'll get to that in a second. Let's talk about the Seals jerseys first.
Jerseys or uniforms? Those two different topics.
The whole thing. Because the jersey when they showed it and it was just like hanging there, I was like, oh, that looks pretty good. And then you actually see it on somebody, and that thing was like the bottom part is too long. The kind of striping pattern at the bottom is like too high up. It's like encroaching on their logo on the front. It looked like a garter belt, not like a striping at the bottom of the jersey.
I don't mind the jersey personally. I think it's an upgrade from what they had.
I think the idea was there. I liked the idea that when they first showed it, I was like, oh no, that looks good. I like that a lot. Once I actually saw it on a person, I was like, oh, it needs a little bit of tweaking. To your point, to what you were saying about the uniform as a whole, the shorts gotta go.
Those are awful, dude.
Those are awful. And the fact that they're black is just, I know that they always had a purple jersey and black shorts. It always looked a little rough. It looks worse in this.
Yeah. If they had black jerseys, it's one thing, but also like you can't have like the striping on the jersey and on the pants, on the shorts. You got to pick one. Like, yeah, I was all for the jerseys by themselves. And then I saw the media day stuff and I was like, ooh, that's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The picture that we were sent of them in media day, I was like, man, it looks like a garter. It's like way up.
Yeah.
One more before we get to Vancouver and we argue again. The Las Vegas Desert Dogs unveiled their new uniforms.
Kind of. They didn't want to announce it. They just kind of put it in a video, and then they were like,
right.
This is it now.
That's fair. They didn't unveil them. They just were like, hey, you see that over there? I'll let you go for it. What did you think?
I think they're okay.
Yeah.
At first glance, I was like, oh, maybe I like them more. I honestly don't know if I like them more. I think having the white stitching on the black, and then I would assume white stitching on, black stitching on the white. It just looks funny, and like the color blocking, I think is in kind of weird places. I don't know. I think they needed to do something, so I'm glad they did something, but I'm not fully sold. personally.
Yeah, it's
I
yeah,
I really
know.
just think if you're gonna have stitching on the shoulders that's a different color, you need to then fill in that stitching with that color. Like you look at most
Which they,
teams.
which they did on the white ones. The white
Did
ones
they?
have a
Okay.
black yoke. Uh,
Yes, I see
the
that now.
black ones,
Yes.
the black ones just have the white stripe. I don't hate that. I get what you're saying, and I don't necessarily disagree, but I that doesn't bother me as much. I think the one thing that really kind of kills it is the white panel under the arms, because
Yeah.
it makes the striping on the sleeves just like completely blend in on the side.
Yeah.
Uh,
They should have
if it
stuck with
was,
just the sleeves on that front.
yes, yeah, I think so. So like you said, I originally kind of was like, it's better, not much better. Their old uniforms were nothing, so like anything was an improvement. And so when I first saw them, I was like, it's better, but just not much better. But I'm like you, the more I'm seeing it, the more I'm like, honestly, I might actually prefer the old ones better than
Funny
this.
enough.
So,
Funny enough.
yeah, yeah. As much as I complained about the old ones, it's like, oh, go back, go back.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's get into Vancouver.
All
Go
right.
ahead. Say
There's
what you
two
got to
different
say.
discussions that need to be had. The first is where I think we'll agree is the white ones are much better than the black ones. Because I just saw the first image of the white one today. The white one includes every color.
Mhm.
I think the logo looks much better where it's mostly black but has the gold like star aspect
Yes.
of it.
Mhm.
I think that's really nice. The gold collar, I think that's beautiful. My gripe with them is the black ones. They look so much like a practice uniform that we just were talking about the Desert Dogs looking like, where you need like a tertiary color to break some of it up. Like, had they put striping in white, had they done the star in white, the Vancouver Warriors in white, something like that, like, I just need a tertiary color. I don't and part of this too was like when they made the switch last year to their new logo where it was all gold. I understood it to an extent because they said the V/W looks like a cigarette for a while with like the half white hat, which I understood
Mhm.
that. But like make the star in the middle white or
Mhm.
just outline. I don't know. For me, I'm a 3-color kind of guy on uniforms, so that's my gripe with it.
I am going to surprise you here and say I'd probably agree with you.
Okay.
Uh, I I don't mind the black and gold as it is. I do think that some elements of white would probably really elevate this uh jersey, the black one specifically.
Yeah.
And to your point, the white one works really well because they used gold and black.
Yeah.
And if the like you said, if they made the star white, or I was even looking at it, I was like, if your numbers were white, because they have the
Right.
numbers on the shorts, they have the numbers on the sleeves, that could go a long way. Stuff like that. I think this is me speaking. I got no inside information, obviously. The previous version of the black uniform, where they had the black and white stripes, I always thought that was kind of goofy. I thought it kind of ruined it. There's something about black or about gold and white kind of touching that doesn't really work for me like that. So that the stripes on their old black uniform, I was like, these are rough. I do not like this at all.
Yeah.
And so my thought was that maybe a designer had a similar thought and was like, well, let's get rid of that. But otherwise, more or less, they modified the logo. First of all, getting rid of the badge shape and just
Yeah.
letting it be the
Yeah.
logo looks so good. But yeah, my thought was that maybe they just thought, oh, we'll get rid of that white, and then never re-added white in any way. But largely, I would agree with you. Other
Regardless,
things that
they're much better than their old ones. I'll give them that. Like,
yeah,
by a mile. Like their old ones had like the half gold, half white collar for some reason. And they had like striping that went vertical on the shorts and then like all of a sudden stopped at the bottom and went horizontal. And so I'll take this any day of the week.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I will say, I was going to say, I'm glad that you brought that up, because I was going to say the new collar I love so much better. That's one thing. I don't think it looks bad on the white jersey at all. Excuse me. But I think on the black jersey, it looks really good. Just that like thin gold, I think looks amazing.
Yeah. I still also wish they would take away on the nameplate. Like, why do we have to outline it in a color? Like, just match it to the jersey and put the name. But that's again a personal. I didn't like it on their old ones either. I think it looks almost a little cheap because like you're just like patching it on there for the game. But
I'm torn. I think on that I can go either way. Like, I kind of get it. It's a way to add a little splash of color. It's very much like a 70s hockey thing to do when you literally were like putting a nameplate on a jersey.
Yeah.
So like I don't hate it, but if it was gone, I wouldn't miss it either. So whatever. Also, I still really love those gold helmets. I don't love every team that does like the chrome thing, but for some reason I just feel like they do it really well, where it's like a full wrap, but they also leave like elements kind of exposed. I don't know. I like that helmet on them a lot.
I like the chrome. I just feel like at times it doesn't. And this is a gold issue, not a Warriors issue. I feel like gold sometimes doesn't work the same when it's on the shiny material versus like on the jersey or on a court, a field, whatever, which makes it a little iffy for me. I have the same problem with Buffalo's orange helmet, where you see it and it's a completely different shade from their jersey, just because of the shiny metallic, which contradicts my my love for that shiny helmet, but it's just I want it to be consistent.
I get it. Was it Albany, I think, had like the shiny purple, and I was watching them play, and it was like such a lighter shade of purple than like their purple uniforms. It just looked so weird. So like I totally get what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you. I also am just now, even though I looked at this earlier, I'm just now realizing that on the white jersey, that picture of Jesse King that they posted earlier, the Warriors logo is all black. I don't know why like that didn't translate in my head, but I love that. I love that. And again, like I said, I am somewhat biased because literally every school I have gone to, except for when I got out of college, or when I got out of the Air Force and went back to school, and that school was Navy and like athletic gold. But every other school that I've ever gone to was black and gold. Like I just have grown up wearing black and gold my whole life. So I am somewhat biased. I can admit that, but I also just think I love color schemes where you have like white or a very light color, a gold or a mid color, and then like a very dark color. I think they just go well. It's one of the reasons why like UNC has such a great color scheme. That white, Carolina blue, and then that navy. Like it just works. I think a 3-color color scheme like that works really well. And sometimes people make it more complicated than they need to, but honestly, I thought we would disagree way more on that based on your things, but I agree with you. I think white would go a long way on that black jersey. So on that bombshell, I guess we got anything going on this week before we're back next week?
Not lacrosse wise, not unless Jack Hanna gets traded this week, but
there are going to be, this is more for the listeners than for you, because I know there are some games that are going to be broadcast this weekend on NLL Plus, some like scrimmages. I know the Toronto scrimmages are on NLL Plus. I don't know if there's any others I think last year they posted theirs on YouTube. So same sort of setup. I remember watching a few here and there. So I know they did broadcast them in some form or fashion, but definitely check those out if you guys have time. They should be fun, give you some kind of, especially if Toronto, give you some kind of glimpse into what they might be looking like this season. Not that you can draw too many conclusions from preseason scrimmages, but you know, other than that, I got nothing going on. We're intentionally, I think, kind of keeping it low key this weekend. We've been that whole month that we were off. I feel like me and my wife just were running every weekend. So I got to do some cleaning, get ready for the winter. I'm assuming it's getting cold out there. It's cold out here.
Yep. Today was like the warmest day of the last couple weeks, and it was still too chilly for my liking.
Yeah. This southern kid living in New England is freezing. So, you know.
Yep. Get those jackets out.
Oh, dude. I was just looking on Amazon my wife needs some jackets. I have like one jacket that I wear like every day, and I'm like, I probably should maybe grab another one. So,
yep.
Yeah. All right. That is going to wrap up this discussion. If you want to jump into the conversation, the absolute best way to do that is by joining the Lax Lifers Club. That is something we didn't even talk about in this episode. But there will be a link in the show notes and on my social medias and everything. That is the home for an entire community that will interact with this show. Hopefully, if we build it out a little bit. Uh-oh.
These people know what's happening here.
No, that's so funny because it sounded like you were like a kid and like your mom was like, Brandon.
Yeah, I'm like, what? Sorry. At least it's the end of the episode. At least I'm not in the middle of talking.
Yeah, well, we're just wrapping it up. Part of the Lax Lifers Club will get you the episodes 48 hours early and gain access to exclusive hangouts and watch alongs. I'm already planning to do a watch along opening weekend of the NLL season. So come hang out. That should be fun. You can find all of the details and tiers, like I said, by hitting the link in the show notes or in my bio, all of that stuff. And you can find both of us on social media. I am at Neil Barrett, and Brandon is at Hoot Sports Media. Like, subscribe, rate, share, and review the show on whatever platform you are listening to the show on. It really, really does help. And we will see you guys next week. So until then, we'll catch you in the comments.